Good morning, world. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy FRE$H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's TheFlyBoy. No XYs. Check out the channel. And wow, I know it feels like a long time since we've done one of these. But welcome back to the Black Man's Guide to World Travel. This edition is going to be called the Quarantine Edition. 2020, everybody knows that we went through a pandemic. I don't want to say the name of it because you know YouTube, but there's going to be a during pandemic, which I call Quarantine Edition, and there's going to be an after pandemic version of the Black Man's Guide to World Travel. Now, before we get into the Black Man's Guide to Quintana Roo, Mexico, let me give you this disclaimer. These guides are my factual information from my experience. It doesn't mean it's factual for you, but it's my perception of what happened during my trip. Now, in this edition of the Black Man's Guide, we're taking it back to Quintana Roo, Mexico. And yes, that includes Cancun, Isla Mujeres, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum. Now, for those that are new to the channel, in this episode, we're going to talk about flights, accommodations. We're going to talk about the clubs, whether or not they're open or closed. We're going to talk about the bars, whether or not they're open or closed. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff that we have to get into because of the new quarantine edition Black Man's Guide. Okay, so as I do in all of the Black Man Guides to World Travel I'm going to now point out the time at which I'm going to start talking about the women of Quintana Roo, Mexico. That includes Isla Mujeres, Tulum, Playa del Carmen, and Cancun. So if you're a female or if you don't want to hear about the women, you should stop the video at the time that I'm pointing to now on the screen because it's going to be quite detailed. Now, because of this pandemic, we were able to get the flights for almost half of what it normally sells for. My round trip ticket from Newark, New Jersey to Quintana Roo, Mexico ended up being $238 plus baggage. Yes, $238 plus baggage. And I flew JetBlue, so you know I was comfortable. As for the accommodations, we decided we were going to stay in 3 different locations because we wanted to get the vibe of everywhere we went. Now, the first place we stayed was in the closest condominium to the hotel zone for Cancun. This was called Salvia, Saliva. This was an amazing condominium. Now, it was pricey. It cost us for 7 days because we rented it for the whole time. It cost us $938 for 7 days. Now, that's not bad between 2 people, but that would be bad, for one person. But it was an amazing apartment. Now, when I say it was an amazing apartment, I mean it was in walking distance to everything down in the hotel area. It was next to the clubs, and it had the most amazing, not one, but 2 balcony views of the ocean. You couldn't ask for a better place, to be honest. You really couldn't ask for a better place. And the security, they were cool. I was just gonna say they were cool. We'll get back to that later. They were cool, and you definitely want to stay here if you stay at a place. The second place we stayed was Playa del Carmen. Now, the place we stayed was all electronic. To get in the front door, it was electronic. There weren't any guards. To get in the apartment, it was electronic. There wasn't any key. So it was amazing because you pretty much can do whatever you want to do. And on top of that, it had a rooftop pool. One thing I noticed is that in Playa del Carmen, a lot of places did have rooftop pools. It feels like it's almost a requirement now if you're going to stay at an Airbnb. And now this place, it ran us $115 a night, and it was huge. Matter of fact, really what it was 2 separate apartments on the same floor, and above us was the roof, which means that we had access to the roof all night long. The third and final place we stayed wasn't actually Airbnb. It was a hostel on an island. Yes, that's right. We stayed overnight on an island in a hostel. And guess what? It was amazing. If you're going to be a solo traveler, I suggest you definitely stay at this hostel because it's not a regular hostel as far as what you presume a regular hostel to be. It's a lot cleaner and they have options of bigger private rooms. The name of this hostel was Nomad Experience. It was awesome. It was on the island of Isla Mujeres. Now, to get to Isla Mujeres, you do have to pay for a ferry, and the ferry is about $10 US max. So you definitely want to include that in your cost of doing that. And to stay at the hostel ended up only being $140 for the private rooms, or you could have got a dorm room, which if you're a solo traveler, I suggest you do, and you could have got a dorm room for $27 a night. We're going to start with the Cancun section of this Black Man's Guide to Quintana Roo, Mexico. Now, first things first, we all know that the Cancun section is expensive. It doesn't matter if it's quarantine, it doesn't matter if it's a regular time, it's going to be expensive. Let's talk about food and activities. When it comes to food and activities in the Cancun section, food is going to be expensive. They have McDonald's, they have different restaurants, like they have American restaurants and stuff. And those are going to be pretty much the same prices they are in the States if you live in New Jersey. So that's not going to be a big difference. But if you're going to want to eat at the local Mexican restaurants or spots that's in the hotel zone, you're going to end up paying like $10 to $15 a meal. That's just the standard price for the hotel zone. Now, Cancun also has a downtown area, which I wasn't able to make it to, but from the connect that we were talking to, the downtown area is a place that you want to go if you want to save money on everything. But you may want to get there a little bit early because during this quarantine edition, you got to realize a lot of people are not working, and it could feel a little dangerous if you don't know how to carry yourself places. Now, as far as activities and nightlife, the bars are open until about 1 or 12 o'clock. The bars are open until about 1 or 12 o'clock. But all of the clubs are closed. Unless you get invited to a secret club, which we did. And hopefully I'll show or talk a little bit more about that in the nighttime part. Next up, we're going to talk about Playa del Carmen. Now, Playa del Carmen was my favorite part of this trip and is the reason why, if things stay the way they are in the world and I do go and I do take another trip, I will be going back to Playa del Carmen because 75 to 80% of the bars are open. Yes, and when I say open, I mean they open, like 75 to 100% capacity. And they are amazing. Now, this may feel somewhat inconsiderate for those who really are in fear of the pandemic, but who cares? They're not going to gringle you much because of the fact that Playa del Carmen is more of a local city. It's, it's not Cancun, it's not the hotel zone, it's more of a local city. So bars are going to charge like pretty much decent bar prices. Now, before I get into the exact names of the bars or the bar locations, let me shout out to BG. BG is a cool guy. He's from the States and he lives in Playa del Carmen right now during this quarantine edition. And he was able to show me and my homies around everywhere to go, man. Shout out to King James and shout out to Barber Road TV and shout out to Tone because those are the guys that I went with down to Playa del Carmen. So the first place we went was a place called Bar Loco. Now, Bar Loco is packed and it is jamming, man. You go upstairs and when you go in Bar Loco, it's just like a regular bar, people hanging out, but people be wild, man. People be wild. And the females do outnumber the males, I'd say about 3-1 in Playa del Carmen. And it's definitely worth going, if you just want to have fun or if you actually want to meet women. Now, the second bar we went to, which is on 5th Avenue, was even better than Bar Loco. I mean, they had the music jumping. They was playing a multi-variety of music. It wasn't just Spanish music or Mexican music. It was actually hip-hop. It was actually reggae. It was amazing. They had a DJ. I mean, it was lights. It was dope. And I met so many cool people there. And yes, once again, the women there are smoking down. I mean, here's the thing about Mexico during quarantine edition. It's pretty much the main place that anybody from around the world can go because a lot of people can't go to a lot of places. So guess what? There were a lot of people from around the world in this in Playa del Carmen from all over. And we met some amazing people. Shout out to Gustavo. I met him. He was from LA and he was down there. He moved down there for a little bit. I mean, so it was cool. The next bar we went to was called La Chancla, Litros, and Beer. La Chancla is like you basically sandal the chancleta, and it was more of a rock bar, which is dope for me because I like different experiences because different places you go with different genres of music that are predominantly played, you're going to meet a different type of people. And I think life is about meeting different people who don't fit into your normal circle. So I met some amazing people out there in La Chancla, and they were just so cool, so down to earth, because everything is basically off of Fifth Ave. And no, you don't need a car, you don't need to rent a car, and you really don't need an Uber if you stay in the correct area. From my experience, it felt safe to be able to walk around all night. Like at some points, I was getting back, which maybe you might hear about in the woman part 2. It was some points when I was getting back to the house at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I felt comfortable just walking the streets of Playa del Carmen. But you want to make sure you stay next to Fifth Ave because all of the bars, all of the stores, all of the major activities are going to be on 5th or around 5th Avenue. Now, the next city we're going to talk about is Isla Mujeres, which is an island. Now, this island is about a 45-minute ride from Cancun. And if you're going to pick an order, I would do Cancun, Isla, Playa, and then Tulum, because Playa and Tulum are about an hour from each other, and Cancun and Isla are 45 minutes from each other. So we took a 45-minute ferry from Cancun to Isla Mujeres, and it was dope. It definitely was dope because they had music on the ferry, or you could stay inside, and there was nice, freezing cold air conditioning if you wanted to stay inside. But the first time, we decided to go upstairs and just get an experience of going on the ferry to the island and watching it from the deck, and it was amazing. So when we pull up to the island, the first thing you see is you gotta wear a mask. You gotta wear a mask. Now, it's understandable. It's understandable because there's a lot of tourists that go there. So you know what? When you're in somebody else's country, you gotta do as it says. When in Rome, act like the Romans. I get why they call it Isla Mujeres now. I get it. The women outnumber the men at least 6-1. At least 6-1, man. I can't even front. Now, activity wise, most of the activities and restaurants, if not all of them, on the island of Isla Mujeres is going to be downtown Isla. Right when you get off the ferry. When you get off the ferry, you're going to see all the stores. You're going to see all the restaurants, and they're not going to be too expensive. It's going to be a little bit less expensive than Cancun, but it's going to be a little bit pricey in comparison to Playa because of the fact that a lot of tourists go to Isla Mujeres. Now, when it comes to nightlife in Isla Mujeres, most of the places and clubs and stuff are going to be closed. However, there are a couple bars scattered downtown in the downtown area that will be open. We didn't get a chance to make it to the bar, and if you've seen my live edition to Isla Mujeres, you kind of know why. But we were able to go to a restaurant that was open like 11 o'clock at night and sit and eat kind of like tacos or burritos. I don't really know what the name of it was called, with these 2 amazing ladies from Colorado, and they were cool as hell. When we got back to the hostel, it was amazing because they actually had a guy out there playing a guitar, and he was playing music. There were a lot of ladies that were sitting by the beach looking at the stars or walking on the dock. And it was a dope vibe, man. I actually had a part where I should have recorded, but I didn't because I was just enjoying the moment where I just sat on a little beanbag at the edge of the ocean and just looked into the stars. Man, it's hard to explain. It's something you just got to experience for yourself, man. It was beautiful, man. And the weather wasn't that bad, especially at nighttime. It was a little bit hot during the day, but when it got around 4, maybe 5 or 6 o'clock, that weather cooled down. It was paradise, man. And that moment was something that couldn't be captured. But I'll say it like that. The next and final place that we're going to talk about with activities and food is Tulum. Now, when we went to Tulum, most of the activities in Tulum were closed. Now, I do need to go back to Tulum to give it a proper guide because we did not stay in Tulum overnight. And the next time we go, I'm going to give it that chance to stay overnight in Tulum. But while down in Tulum, trying to find something that was open because the beaches was closed, the archaeological place was closed, a lot of the bars and stuff where we was at near that area was closed because Tulum has two different locations. It has the beach area and has the city area. We didn't make it to the city area because we weren't staying overnight. But next time we're going to focus on the city area. But we went to the beach area and then found out it was closed. However, money talks. We actually ran into a guy who knew of a beach part of the beach that we can get into, and we had to pay him $20 each. It was four of us, so we paid him $20 each, and we got to a secret beach where we can go to. On this beach, we hung out for a little bit, and then we took a boat to get to the Tulum archaeological ruins. Now, no, we didn't touch land, but from the sight that we got from the boat, it was amazing. And most importantly, if you haven't, I'll insert it right here. I got some amazing views of the architectural site for Tulum, where I guess the Mayans built and everything like that. I'm not too knowledgeable about it because we didn't actually get to do the tour. It definitely was a great experience when we went to Tulum, but next time we will go to the city part. Okay, so now without a hesitation, let's get to the women of Quintana Roo, Mexico. So in order not to make this part extremely long, I'm going to get briefly into the girlfriend part for all of the cities, and then I'm going to get into the pro part for all of the cities of Quintana Roo, Mexico. So let's start with the girlfriend part. Now, when it comes to a girlfriend or a girl that you want to hang out with and just spend time with her versus paying for her time, you want to make sure that you pregame at least a month in advance. Now, I'm going to tell you this from the start, fellas. Maybe your luck will be better than mine, but I'm telling you what my experience was. Getting a girlfriend in Cancun is not going to be possible, especially if you don't speak Spanish. And if you want something that's highly attractive, meaning 7.5 or higher. Now, yes, you may be able to get a regular average looking, maybe 6, or if you're lucky, a 7, but she's most likely going to be working because it is the quarantine edition and a lot of people are trying to make money no matter what, way they can. And she's most likely going to be working at a store or something and not really have time for you during your vacation. So I would suggest pre-gaming on Bumble and Tinder when you go to try to get something in Cancun if that's really what you want. Moving on to Tulum. I can't give you too much details about Tulum because I didn't stay there overnight and I don't think it would be fair. But I will say this. I met a lot of women from the United States in the airport that were going to Tulum. Let's get into Playa del Carmen. Playa del Carmen is the place you want to go if you want the girlfriend experience. I mean, if you want the chance to just go to the club, have a few drinks, meet women, if you want the chance to just swipe and right and hit somebody who really wants to come and hang out with you, Playa del Carmen is the place you need to go because it is less expensive for everything, as well as the place where a lot of locals are. So in Playa del Carmen, you can meet women at all of the bars that I mentioned earlier, as far as Bar Loco, as far as Tequila Beer Bar, whatever the spot name was, and La Chancla. You can meet women just walking down Fifth Avenue because it's going to always be packed. And you'll see little restaurants and everybody sitting outside, and it's very, very warm, so you don't have to worry about, people being all inside or anything like that. But like I said, if you want the girlfriend experience, always pregame on Tinder and Bumble. But in Playa del Carmen, you probably won't really need that. You can just walk down Fifth Ave, hop in a bar, and hop out with something. And I will say this, the women do, from my sense, like foreigners. It's just a vibe, man. It's definitely a vibe. And yes, as United States citizens, we're foreign, even in Mexico. So now we're going to talk about Isla Mujeres. Now, Isla Mujeres is going to be difficult to meet a girlfriend. Not as difficult as Cancun, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to meet a girlfriend, especially if you are not planning in advance. Why do I say this? Because it is an island. You'll run into women at the hostel if you're staying in a hostel, but the bars are usually only open till 1 o'clock. And on top of that, the houses are spread so far away that you're not just going to walk down the street and see anybody. So you want to make sure you pregame in advance. Now, the pregame in Isla Mujeres is pretty decent, but in my opinion, I don't think you're going to come across a lot of eights or higher. I think your range is going to be between 4 and 7 because all of the eights and higher are going to be either at the hostels or they're going to have their own Airbnb. So you want to make sure you do the pregame before so you get into it. So now we're going to discuss the other side of women in Quintana Roo, Mexico. Hey yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy FRE $H Fresh at the Flyboy Way, all platforms. I know y'all looking like, hey yo, what is Flyboy doing? I know there's another part to these videos. Yes, but unfortunately I had to put them behind the paywall because my #1 video, The Black Man's Got to Cartagena, was taken off. And you guys know when I like to tell a story, I like to tell a story the way it is. I don't like to hold stuff back that others may find offensive. And unfortunately, we cannot do that anymore on most platforms. So until I create my website, I had to put all of the rest of the guides that you're going to see in the full version behind the membership. Eventually, I will create a website, and it will be free just for the guides. I have about 12 different guides right now, or 15 different guides right now. I don't know, a lot. So you can subscribe to the membership. I made it only $5 because I think that stops it from being a major issue with YouTube. It's, I guess, something that we kind of worked out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope this helped you. That's the reason why I made these videos PG and put them back on for the whole public to see, because I think with information comes safety. And if you get the information, it can help you stay safe when you travel the world. It's your boy FRE $H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why. Just check out the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.